Welcome to Moss-Marlow Building Company's Comprehensive Safety Orientation Program, a pivotal initiative aimed at ensuring the well-being of every member of our construction team. Safety isn't just a priority, it's our commitment. A commitment that resonates throughout every project, every task, and every individual who steps foot on our work sites. In this safety orientation video, we embark on a journey dedicated to fostering a culture of safety excellence. Through this, we empower each member of our workforce with the knowledge, tools, and mindset necessary to create an environment where safety thrives. From understanding hazard communication to proper equipment handling, emergency procedures, and the significance of personal protective gear, our goal is simple yet paramount: ensuring that every individual returns home safely at the end of each workday. At Moss-Marlow Building Company, safety isn't just a regulation to follow, it's a culture to embrace. A culture that echoes our dedication to our team's well-being and the success of our projects. Join us on this journey as we equip ourselves with the knowledge and awareness needed to uphold the highest safety standards. At Moss-Marlow Building Company, the safety and well-being of our employees, subcontractors, clients, and the community are of paramount importance. We are steadfast in our commitment to maintaining a safe and healthy work environment across all project sites. As part of this commitment, it is mandatory for every individual involved in our projects to complete the Moss-Marlow Building Company Safety Orientation video and submit their signature to the designated department before commencing any work on our job sites. This safety orientation video serves as a crucial component of our comprehensive safety program. It is designed to educate, inform, and empower individuals with the knowledge and understanding of our safety protocols, procedures, and expectations. By completing this orientation, individuals will be equipped to recognize potential hazards, implement preventative measures, and adhere to our safety standards consistently. It is imperative that each employee, subcontractor, or individual working on behalf of Moss-Marlow Building Company understands and complies with our safety guidelines outlined in this orientation. Every person's participation in this program signifies their acknowledgement and commitment to prioritize safety in every aspect of their work. To ensure compliance with our safety standards and regulations, completion of the safety orientation video and submission of the signed acknowledgement is a mandatory prerequisite before initiating any work on Moss-Marlow Building Company's projects. This proactive approach is fundamental in fostering a culture where safety is not just a priority but an ingrained value in our day-to-day operations. We encourage open communication and continuous improvement in our safety practices. If there are any concerns, questions, or suggestions related to safety, we urge individuals to reach out to their supervisors, safety officers, or the designated safety department. By adhering to these safety policies and procedures, we collectively contribute to a safer work environment, minimize risks, and ensure the well-being of everyone involved in our projects. The topics we will cover in the safety orientation video are drug and alcohol policy, PPE and dress code, injuries, incidents, and near misses, weekly safety meetings, competent person, hazard communication, power tools and extension cords, daily job site inspections, operators qualification records, floor and wall openings, stairways, fall protection, aerial and scissor lifts, ladders, scaffolding, excavation, lockout, tagout, and silica. Drug and alcohol policy. The use of drugs and alcohol on Moss-Marlow Building Company sites is prohibited. Being on an MMBC site while under the influence of either drugs or alcohol will result in immediate removal from the site. PPE and dress code. Head protection. Hard hats are required to be worn by all workers on all MMBC sites at all times. Hard hats shall meet the specifications contained in NCZ 89. 1 to 1969. Exception: an MMBC superintendent may allow hard hats to not be required if all wall and ceiling finishes are in place and there is no overhead work being performed. Workers that may become exposed to high-voltage electrical shock and slash or burns shall wear hard hats that meet the specifications in NCZ 89. 2 to 1971. Metal hard hats are not permitted. Hard hats should be worn as specified by the manufacturer. Eye and face protection. Eye and face protection equipment shall meet the requirements specified in NCZ 87. 1 to 1968. For some tasks, safety glasses will not provide adequate protection. Workers shall evaluate potential hazards associated with the specific task and use the appropriate protection. Safety glasses shall be worn by all workers on all MMBC sites at all times when performing tasks such as cutting, nailing, drilling, or any task that could cause potential eye injury. Glasses must have the appropriate tint for the work area. Hand protection. Gloves should be worn while performing any construction activity. Gloves should be of appropriate type for the task being performed. Hearing protection. Approved hearing protection should be worn when employees are continuously exposed to loud noise per OSHA limits. Dress code. Shirts with a minimum of 3-inch sleeve, long pants, and leather boots are required. No cut-off shirts, shorts, or tennis shoes are permitted. High-visibility shirts or vests must be worn as a visible top layer on all MMBC sites. Raider class high-visibility clothing may be required for specific circumstances, such as roadwork and high-traffic areas. Clothes must be in good condition. Loose or torn clothing, which may become a hazard around moving equipment or catch fire easily, are prohibited. Work boots are to be constructed of leather or other durable material and be in good condition. Canvas shoes, sandals, or open-toed shoes are prohibited. Waterproof rubber boots may be worn when conditions require them. Injuries, incidents, and near misses. All injuries, property damage, and near misses must be reported, regardless of the severity. Notification of an incident must be delivered to the MMBC superintendent within 30 minutes of occurrence. In the case of minor physical injury, MMBC should be notified before the injured worker leaves the site. A complete investigation report with witness statements and photographs is to be completed and delivered to MMBC within 24 hours of the incident. Required incidents must be reported to the applicable regulatory agencies within 8 hours of their discovery. Incidents must also be reported to the client as soon as possible or promptly within 24 hours of the incident. Weekly safety meetings. Each subcontractor shall have their appointed representative at all of MBC's safety meetings and must have at least weekly safety meetings with their employees. Safety meetings are an important part of the overall safety program. It is through these meetings that specific safety issues may be discussed and potential safety problems identified. Each job site superintendent will hold weekly safety meetings. Competent person. All contractors and subcontractors will designate a competent person as described by OSHA 29 CFR 1926 Safety Standards for Construction. A competent person is defined as one who can identify existing hazards in the surroundings or working conditions which are unsanitary, hazardous, or dangerous to him or herself as well as other employees. The competent person has the authority to take prompt corrective measures to eliminate those conditions. The on-site superintendent shall always know this designated person. Competent person knowledge will include, but not be limited to, the following areas: fall protection, scaffolding, cranes and rigging, ladders, electrical, confined spaces, trenching and excavating, steel erection, and respiratory protection and silica. Hazard communication. A copy of the subcontractor's hazard communication program must be submitted to MMBC before beginning work. The hazard communication program must also be maintained on site along with all safety data sheets for chemicals present or in use on the project. The subcontractor is responsible for the training of its employees on their respective program. MMBC will make available all subcontractor HAZCOM programs and SDS digitally for each project within Procore. Subcontractors using hazardous materials on a site must alert other subcontractors of potential hazards associated with the materials they are using. Power tools and extension cords. Extension cords used with portable electrical tools and appliances shall be of the 3-wire type. Cords with a ground prong removed or rendered ineffective shall be removed from the job. Electrical cords shall be covered and elevated to keep cords from creating a tripping hazard to employees or other persons in the area or causing damage to the cords. Ground fault circuit interrupters, GFCI, shall be tested before use. Employees shall not operate electrical tools while standing in water. Electrical tools shall not be hoisted or carried by their power cords. Extension cords shall be free of repair or splices, kept clear of traffic aisles, and not subject to vehicular traffic. Only cords 12 gauge or better may be used on site. All cords must be rated for hard or extra hard usage. A monthly color code inspection is required for all electrical cords and corded tools. For extension cords, both ends of the cord shall be marked. The color codes for each month are as follows: red January and July, white February and August, blue March and September, green April and October, yellow May and November, black June and December. Ground fault circuit interrupters, GFCI, will be used at all times. The GFCI may be located at the service, the outlet, or a GFCI whip may be used. Daily site inspections. Daily inspections of the work area are the responsibility of each subcontractor's competent person or safety representative as well as MBC superintendent. Any potential unsafe issues identified must be reported to the MMBC superintendent immediately. Operators qualifying records. Operators of any equipment shall be qualified and have the required operator certifications. A list of certified operators should be submitted to the MMBC superintendent before beginning work. Operators are responsible for inspecting equipment and vehicles for defects at the beginning of each workday or shift change. Floor and wall openings. When workers are exposed to overhead hazards, subcontractors shall ensure the area is properly barricaded to restrict traffic in and out of the area. Tow boards, screens, or guardrail systems shall be erected to prevent objects and materials from falling onto lower levels. A hole is a gap or void 2 inches or more in its least dimension in a floor, roof, or other walking/working surface. All covers shall meet the elements outlined in OSHA 29 CFR 1926.502. An opening is a gap or void 30 inches or more high and 18 inches or more wide in a wall or partition through which employees can fall to a lower level. OSHA 29 CFR 1926.501. Stairways. Except during stairway construction, foot traffic is prohibited on stairways with pan stairs unless the pans are filled with wood or other solid material to at least the top of the pan. Treads must be in place on wooden stringers before anyone is allowed to use the stairs. Stairways must have guardrails in place before being used. Stairways will be kept clear of debris and allow for easy egress. Fall protection. MMBC has developed and implemented the following requirements regarding fall protection. Subcontractors shall ensure 100% compliance with all fall protection regulations. MMBC enforces a 6-foot trigger height for all work. Subcontractors are responsible for ensuring their employees are made aware of and for enforcing these policies. There will be zero tolerance for violations of MBC's fall protection policies. Subcontractors found in violation of fall protection policies may be removed from the site. Subcontractors shall submit their fall protection policy, which follows OSHA 29 CFR 1926 to 502 to the MMBC superintendent prior to work being started. The fall protection policy should be prepared by the subcontractor's competent person. All fall protection components are to be inspected prior to each use. Do not use damaged or worn-out components. Anchor points for fall protection must be rated at 5,000 pounds minimum. Fall protection equipment should be used as specified by OSHA and the manufacturer's guidelines. If a subcontractor believes that fall protection equipment increases the risk associated with a task, they may request an alternate plan from the MMBC superintendent in writing. Aerial and scissor lifts. Subcontractors shall perform daily inspections of all lifts. According to OSHA 29 CFR 1926 to 554, only authorized and properly trained personnel may operate aerial lifts and scissor lifts. Workers using lifts must wear approved fall protection equipment and maintain attachment of the lanyard to an engineered anchorage point at all times. Fall protection harnesses may not be required when using a scissor lift, provided that the lift is on level surface and not moving locations. Workers should perform all work from lifts with both feet on the floor of the basket. Workers are not permitted to climb on any portion of the railing to extend reach. Modifications to lifts and work platforms are not permitted unless performed or certified by the manufacturer. Ladders. Ladders shall be inspected before use. Workers should not carry tools, materials, or objects while climbing ladders. Ladders shall be placed with at least 3 rings extending above the landing being ascended to and securely tied off at the top. Workers may be required to use personal fall protection in certain scenarios when working from a ladder near ledges and openings. Workers shall not stand on the top 2 rings of any step ladder. Step ladders should only be used in the open and lock position. Improper use of any ladder is prohibited. Scaffolding. Scaffolding systems shall be erected and maintained based on the regulations outlined in OSHA 29 CFR 1926 Subpart L as well as the manufacturer's guidelines. Subcontractors shall provide a competent person whenever scaffolding is being erected and/or utilized. Any worker on scaffolding 6 feet or greater shall be protected against falls by proper guardrails or a personal fall arrest system. Scaffolds should be fully decked with walkboards in sound condition. Excavation. All contractors performing excavating and trenching activities on site shall provide a competent person. The competent person shall be responsible for ensuring that all workers are protected. All excavations and trenches are to be inspected daily by the subcontractor's competent person. All excavations over 5 feet deep must be sloped, benched, or shored. Any excavation or trench over 6 feet deep that is not sloped or benched must be guarded to protect against falls. All excavations, regardless of depth, that do not have a hard guard must be identified with an elevated visual barrier, like cones, barrels, safety or snow fence, danger or caution tape, etc. Spoils and equipment shall be kept at least 2 feet from the edge of all excavations and trenches. A stairway, ladder, ramp, or other safe means of egress shall be located in trench excavations more than 4 feet deep to require no more than 25 feet of lateral travel for workers. Lockout tagout. All workers should be properly trained in lockout, tagout requirements and procedures. The lockout device will consist of a lock, shackle, or chain, and tag. Any worker who is required to perform setup, electrical or mechanical repairs, or general maintenance should have a lockout, tagout kit at all times. The MMBC superintendent can provide additional lockout devices if needed. The power source of any machine to be repaired, serviced, or set up shall be locked out by each worker or crew performing the work. In addition to disconnecting the power source, it is also required that all residual pressures be relieved prior to performing the task. A lockout device may be removed only by the worker who installed the device or the worker's supervisor. No other supervisor may instruct or order the removal of a lockout device without obtaining approval or authorization from the supervisor of the worker that initially installed the lockout device. Restoring equipment to service. When the job is completed and equipment is ready for testing or normal service, check the equipment area to see that no one is exposed to risk. Inspect the work area to ensure that non-essential items have been removed and to ensure that the machine or equipment components are operationally intact. When the equipment is all clear, all locks shall be removed and affected workers shall be notified that the locks have been removed. The energy isolating devices may now be opened to restore energy to the equipment. Tags. The lockout is the preferred method to ensure against injury. The use of tags in the de-energization process and in preventing the unauthorized startup of machines and equipment is therefore limited to machinery and equipment with energy isolating devices that are not capable of being locked out. Special and temporary situations where the use of a tagout system will provide full worker protection. Each tag contains a warning against hazardous conditions if the machine or equipment should be energized. They contain words such as "do not start," "do not open," "do not close," "do not energize," or "do not operate." Any person who knows of the use of any tag that does not satisfy these requirements must immediately report the fact to their supervisor. That supervisor shall take immediate steps to ensure that the tag in question satisfies the above or that a suitable replacement tag is provided. Silica. The Silica Exposure Control Plan describes the hazards associated with projects involving potential exposure to airborne concentrations of silica and the issues to be addressed during these projects. These activities include, but are not limited to, use of stationary masonry saws, handheld power saws used to cut concrete, walk-behind saws used to cut concrete or asphalt, jackhammers and handheld powered chipping tools, handheld grinders or cut-off wheels, walk-behind milling machines or bead blasters, and all housekeeping operations associated with these activities. Subcontractors shall identify a competent person to inspect and oversee all activities with potential airborne silica exposure. This person shall have a working knowledge of the OSHA 29 CFR 1926.1153 standards. All workers will be provided with access to and training on the contents of OSHA 29 CFR 1926.1153. Engineering and work practice controls, including administrative controls, shall be implemented to reduce and maintain worker exposure to silica at or below the permissible exposure limits. PEL. Never use compressed air to remove silica from any surface unless it is used in conjunction with a ventilation system designed to capture the airborne dust created while in use. Workers shall not eat, drink, smoke, chew tobacco or gum, or apply cosmetics in any areas where exposure to silica is above the PEL. These should be regulated areas. Workers are required to wash their hands and face at the end of the work shift and before eating or entering eating facilities, drinking, or smoking. If required, respiratory protection must be used for the following conditions: when worker exposure to airborne silica exceeds the PEL, for work operations where engineering and workplace controls are not sufficient to reduce worker exposure to or below the PEL, when a worker requests a respirator, when respirators are required to provide interim protection while conducting initial exposure assessments. Powered air purifying respirators, paper, shall be provided to workers who request such a respirator to use where it will provide adequate protection. All subcontractors who may be subject to the OSHA silica standard requirements must submit a silica exposure control plan to the MMBC superintendent before commencing work. The plan must address silica dust controls and how the restricted access areas will be marked and maintained. This concludes the Moss-Marlow Building Company Safety Orientation. We hope that you found the information helpful. Please do not hesitate to notify the MMBC Superintendent or our MMBC Safety Coordinator of any safety concerns you encounter on any of our sites. It is the responsibility of each person to keep our job sites safe. Please ensure that you print, sign, and date a Moss-Marlow Building Company Safety Orientation sign-in sheet and have your supervisor submit it to MMBC prior to arriving on a site. Once you have completed the orientation video and signed the acknowledgement sheet, you will be issued a MMBC hard hat sticker which must be displayed while working on MMBC sites. Please make safety a priority and ensure that everyone returns home each day in the same or better condition than they left.
Please be safe. My mommy works here.
Please be safe. My daddy works here.
For any questions regarding the Moss-Marlow Building Company's safety orientation, you may contact Brent Bayer, Moss-Marlow Safety Coordinator. You can email him at brent@mossmarlow.com or reach him on his cell phone at 630-770-7247. We appreciate you taking time to watch our safety orientation video, and we look forward to seeing you on a Moss-Marlow job site soon.